Hey, we recorded a video on phase two. The audio is pretty shitty, mainly because I forgot to hit the record button on our audio for our microphone. So I'm just doing a preface here to say we apologize for that, but the content was so good that we wanted to share it anyways. I'm sure you'll be able to hear it. You just might have to turn it up on high with some earbuds. So again, we apologize on that, but we've got some good tips here for you on phase two. So enjoy it. If you like it, obviously hit the comment, smash the like, do whatever you need to do. So enjoy, guys. Take care. So phase two. All right. Well, what do you think about phase two? Business side, let's not go down the COVID rabbit hole. That's a little something different.
Yeah. Gosh, phase two. From a marketing perspective, obviously, first and foremost, they need to be getting their shit together. Just office-wise, to make sure that they can cater to patients and be able to have people in and not get knocked out by health services or something like that. But they need to be letting their clients know. And be communicating with clients like, hey, this is when we can start taking appointments. This is when we can start seeing people. These are the steps that we're taking to make sure that you're protected. So that's first and foremost, just marketing to the people that they need to be coming back in to get their massage treatment, to see them again. So that's first and foremost. The first thought that I think of is how do we stay in contact with the people that matter to us and have already been giving us business.
Yeah, and I mean, well, you see that, like, I don't know how many letter from the CEOs I've got, over the last little while. I haven't read a lot of them. But, there's a lot of businesses that I follow. I mean, I've entered in my email address, and there's a lot that haven't really said anything about when they're going to be opening and what the status looks like, on that. But so communicating to their people. But I think the second stage of that is, well, what are you going to do now that you're open to? I mean, you're probably going to get a pretty big influx, depending on the nature of your business, of individuals that haven't had your services in a while, and now they're like, okay, well, we haven't had the services in a while, so we're going to come and you're going to have that big push of people for a couple of weeks, a month or two. But then what's going to happen after that, right? Is it going to be fall back to normal? So what are you doing in the next week or two to make a marketing plan to say, okay, after this big influx of people that are going to come through, hey, you know what? They might not even get the influx.
Right.
Some people might not be willing to be able to do that, or they might be operating at half capacity, depending on the business, or with the extra cleaning measures, they won't be able to take as many clients in. But what happens after all of that rush is done?
Right.
What are you going to do to be able to drive your business? Now is a great time to be able to plan some of those things out.
Well, and especially when you look at phase one here in Alberta, I mean, they've been open for 2 weeks, 3 weeks now.
Unless you were in Calgary, then,
Yeah.
Yeah, Calgary Brooks.
But, to look at where they're at and what they need to do moving forward, and a lot of them have been adjusting on the fly. I've seen some that have had to extend their hours just to see more patients because they can't fit them in the same way that they used to. They can't go back to back to back like they used to and have 5 people in their waiting room, for a chiropractic office.
Yeah.
They've had to make a lot of adjustments on the fly that way. And so to be able to get that planning in now for phase two, unbelievably necessary, because you're not going to get a chance to think about it in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, when you're now 2 weeks into opening. So taking that time to plan that out, think that out, pre-schedule posts.
Yeah. Huge
thing. They need to be taking advantage of some resources. I know you know of a bunch, so I'll let you kind of handle that and let people know about some resources for pre-scheduling. But
I think that's all business dependent.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. But being able to take content photos now, get your staff in, educate them now on what are the procedures, and record all of it so that you can be sharing that with your audience as you start opening up. You have the gift of time right now where you're not seeing people. How are you utilizing it?
Yeah, no, and that's, I don't think a lot of businesses are doing that. It's, you look at, some of the people that we follow on the Instagram world, it's like, well, they use it as, okay, well, now's a perfect opportunity to be able to take that course, do this, do that, I want to learn this, I want to, do all those sorts of things. Well, what have you done over the last 2 months? Have you actually done that course? Have you done any extra learning. Well, no, the excuse there now isn't time, because you've had all the time in the world to do it. It's just you didn't make it a big priority. And if you make that shift, especially content generation and putting value out there. I mean, one of the things that's why we do that. I mean, I was watching a thing by Gary Vee the other day about content, and the guy's like, well, I don't know if I want to put all my content out for free and educate for free, because then how am I going to charge people, for that? And Gary Vee says, well, you gain leverage, right? And because when you gain that leverage and you do those things, people learn about you, they know about you, and putting those things out there. And obviously doing it in terms of the markets that you want to grow in. Like, I know you mentioned some of the tools. Well, if you're just posting to Facebook, guess the only people that are on your business page that are seeing your posts are the people that follow your page. If you want to get organic growth, well, and bring some of those people in with your content, that's where you need to adopt a strategy for some of the other ones, whether that's Twitter or Instagram or even TikTok, to be able to grow some of those. So, what are you doing now to be able to prepare for the influx, so that way you have everything scheduled over those couple weeks, so that way you're not pulling your hair out, or you drop off with content. Right?
Well, and what would be your recommended strategy then in terms of boosting posts and getting ads out there? Because for a lot of these businesses, they haven't been bringing in dollars over the last couple of months, so being able to spend is limited. What would be your advice on that, and taking a strategy forward so that they can continue to book clients in 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, after they get through the backlog of patients that they've needed to see?
Yeah, great question. First off, never boost a post on the front end of Facebook. What I mean on the front end is if you're on your business page and you see the little boost button at the bottom, don't just click that and boost your post, because it's not necessarily optimized the right way for your business to be able to say, okay, now I've got this post out there, I made it a post, but it's just a post. It's not optimized for an ad. Where is it going? Is it just going to your website? Is it sending a message? Whatever. So what you want to do is you want to go to the back end of Facebook. And if you go into the back end of Facebook, that's where you enable their whole host of tools to be able to say, okay, well, here's where my ads, you can do the audience selection on the front end on the boost, but it doesn't give you, your custom audiences. You can't test out multiple different placements on a boost. I mean, do you know that, for instance, our ad that we have running, Instagram sucked for our ad. And so I tested between Facebook and Instagram to see, okay, well, which one's working better? Well, Instagram sucks, so Facebook worked better. So I actually stopped our Instagram ad. I went straight to Facebook. You can't get those sort of testing things if you're just doing the boost part on the front. On that, people are like, well, I just want more eyes. Well, no, you want to focus where it's going to work the best for you. And that's how, if you don't have a lot of dollars to spend, is you tweak and you test those things. People will sometimes they'll run a Facebook ad for a week and they say, oh, my Facebook ad didn't work. I guess online or Facebook ads don't work. Well, no, you literally just spent a week testing it. Right. Sometimes within a week, if your ad's going to perform or not, so you can redo your ad. But there's a lot of testing that involves over a long period of time. Whether that's 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to be able to test out different copies. And I mean, if you're doing it yourself, it's going to take you even that much longer. But if you hire a professional, they generally know which ones are going to, like us, we know which ones are going to work better. And if they don't, we can instantly tweak that to make it work better. So that way your dollars are going a lot further. I think there's the other big misconception with Facebook and Instagram ads is that you have to spend hundreds of dollars a day. Well, you don't have to. I mean, depending on your business, depending on your niche, depending on your market in terms of where you're targeting, you can get successful ads for as little as $5 a day.
Right.
So you think $5 a day over the course of a 30-day month, I mean, that's $150 that you spend on advertising on a $5 a day ad strategy.
And you give up your mocha frappuccino in order to
exactly
boost your business.
Double whatever the heck you call them at Starbucks. Actually, I could go for a grande skinny caramel macchiato now that we say that. But I guess with these Zoom meetings, I haven't went to Starbucks in a long time, so my gift card balance is sitting at a high.
Nice.
Well, this is completely not relevant to anything that we do.
Chase that squirrel.
But I'm going to definitely go down that squirrel. That's where I work. If you actually, I probably shouldn't say this because this is going to go out on the interwebs and maybe I might get in shit for this. And I'll caveat this, I'm not a bookkeeper, I'm not an accountant, and I did not hear this from my bookkeeper or my accountant. I heard it from another business owner. But they said buy gift cards for yourself in small increments, so that way you can write off the full value of that as a tax deduction, as advertising and promotion. instead of just doing it as business entertainment and when you write off 50% of it. So CRA, if you're watching, I don't do that.
Actually, the tip I heard around that is that exact same thing, but when it's down to like $7 on it, give it to someone. Give it to a random stranger at the coffee shop, whatever. Now you're networking, get their name, write it on the receipt afterwards, and you're good to go.
There you go, even better. So I also don't track names on receipts, so if I ever get audited, I'm fucked. I mean, we're fucked, I guess. We're in business together now, so my other corporation would be fucked.
There you go.
But we should probably put that as some of our practices. So
don't do what we do.
Exactly. Here's the deal. We know how to do advertising. We don't know how to do bookkeeping. So that's why we hire people for that. Same reason why you should hire people for your marketing. And actually, if you know, I'm just going to throw this out there. If you're not sure what you need to do for your marketing or advertising, give us a shout. We have our 100% free, no obligation marketing consultation, where we look over all your stuff and we tell you what you can and can't do that's working for you, and give you actionable steps for that. So,
cool. So let's put a pause then, and then right there, I mean, again, phase 2. Most of these businesses haven't been operating in 3-4 months. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of revenue that's sitting there, and be able to hire marketing, be able to pay for marketing. Yep. So first step, get a free analysis. Let's see where you're at, and let's see if we can give you some free tips. Generic business, what would be some actionable steps that you could provide right now in terms of free strategies, free opportunities where maybe they have more time than money?
Content, and then more content. And you think you put out enough content, do more content. You know, it's people are like, well, aren't I? What if I'm putting out too much? Well, the way that general, I mean, I've taken this from some other people, is that people tend to scroll in 2 to 4 hour blocks of time on their profile. So if you're on Instagram, for example, and I mean, this would be for your followers, so they scroll in 2 to 4 hour blocks. Well, if you post one thing a day and somebody only goes on once or twice a day, well, you might actually miss them with your post. Whereas hashtags, or like, I'm just going to use Instagram. I mean, I don't really generally talk about Facebook for posting, because as a business, it's a pay-to-play marketplace for Facebook, unfortunately. But you know, your TikTok, your Twitter, your Instagram are some of those organic ones where you just post the content. But having a good hashtag strategy, so you know, okay, what hashtags am I going to be able to have people see my content in, be relevant in, and not just like hashtag digital agency. Because if you do hashtag digital agency, I mean, there's probably 10 million posts on that. So now you're trying to fight with a lot of people that are trying to put into that, you know, hashtag digital agency. Where if you go hashtag YYC digital agency or hashtag YEG digital agency, now all of a sudden you're competing on a more local level. And especially, I mean, for us, I mean, we can compete on a worldwide level. But if there's a business, let's say a plumber or an HVAC, you know, they don't have the ability to compete on a national level, so you compete on a local level with localized hashtags, which is the easiest thing that a person can do right now, because it just takes like, I mean, I was telling you earlier, I mean, one of the clients, their staff are just blowing up my email on my phone right now with a shit ton of content, and then we scheduling that out for them. And so now, because we have, I think I just looked, I have, not including the ones that I just sent today, there's 45 pieces of content that are just sitting in a file folder waiting for me to schedule out, but we've already got next week's scheduled. So now we're all of a sudden working on, you know, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out, and just scheduling the shit out of that. So that way when phase 2 happens for us, if we're busy or if they're busy, now all of a sudden it's just on autopilot. Right? You get the notification, you respond to the people who engage in your market, and then you continue on with your day because everything's just posted.
Right.
So that's kind of some of the free things that I think people can definitely leverage and do right now to be able to take advantage of that.
Well, what about building an audience too? Because everything you talked about there is to your audience.
Well, hashtags are for building an audience.
Cool.
So your hashtags, you don't do that for your audience. You're posting for your audience. You know, on that, we're building the audience is hashtags, but also, I mean, if you have more time, it's pulling the $1.80 strategy from Gary Vee, where you leave your 2 cents 90 times a day, is essentially what it is. So you're going on and you're commenting on people, their posts, you're following the posts, you're liking the posts, you're engaging with the audience that you want to have follow you. And when you do that, you grow. I mean, I know ourselves, we took a little bit of a pause, mainly me, on the social media there for a while. I wasn't going on it. I was staying away from it just because everything was doom and gloom, and so I took a pause from it myself for that. But even now going back to it, it's really easy to build an engagement and a following if you actually take the time to do that, on there. And if you can't do that as a business owner, then find a team member or somebody on your staff who can, and just teach them. Google Gary V's $80 strategy and follow that, because that's how you're going to be able to grow your audience on Instagram or any really following minus Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I know with that strategy and even with what you said about hashtags, what would be the easiest way to search hashtags that you would want to be relevant in, posting in?
On your computer, I would grab my computer, but we're recording the audio right now, and I'd put it up there and show you. But you literally just go to Instagram.com or whatever social media channel they all have. I mean, Instagram's not really that optimized for being on a laptop.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah.
So you can still do some stuff on there for searching it if you're on there, but you literally just type in the hashtag in the search bar, and then it'll show you how many people, how many posts there are total lifetime with that. The higher the number, the more difficult it is to compete on. I mean, you don't want to find someone that has 150 posts in a lifetime, because nobody's searching that, nobody's following that. What I mean by searching and following is people will search and follow hashtags.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go like hashtag YYC now, so that's things that are happening in Calgary right now, which is actually funny. If you go YYC now versus Calgary now, YYC now has way more posts than Calgary now. So finding out the little nuances and just spending some time figuring out, okay, which hashtags are going to be relevant for me and my business. But then when you find those hashtags, don't just put them in one post, write them down, put them in a file folder, put them in Google Keep or your notes or a Google Doc or whatever you need to put it on. And then whenever you make a post, just open that document, copy, paste it, and send it out. If you're doing the posts live, I mean, if you're scheduling them on your computer, then you can obviously have it open, you schedule it, and you post it in there with those different hashtags. So that way you're competing in those hashtags all the time. And maybe you might have different hashtags for different types of posts. Right? So and those are some different things that a person can do, for the organic growth within social content.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was going to ask you in kind of the reverse. I mean, for you, and so in case anybody watching doesn't know, I handle most of the social media stuff. He handles most of the website SEO stuff. We have some overlap, obviously, and some understanding in what everybody does. But if you were to ask me the nitty gritty of SEO, I wouldn't have a clue. But so in terms of businesses that have been closed for a little while, what are you seeing in terms of SEO trends, website trends that a business can either A, do on their own, or B, for companies that have people like us, what are some things that they should be looking out for and doing?
Well, and I know for a lot of big businesses especially, they've transitioned from a platform of social media ads to more Google AdWords ads right now. Mainly because of what's happening on social media, between everything that happened with COVID to everything that's happening right now with Black Lives Matter, and not wanting to interrupt what's happening on there, and not wanting to just be advertising around that, because it's just not the proper space for it right now. So they'll go to an intent-based platform like Google, where someone is searching for a plumber. Well, now you're going to show up as a plumber. So you've seen a lot more transition into that, and then also early on in the whole COVID pandemic, a lot of businesses invested heavily on SEO because it was the time to be able to do that. Investing again in Facebook when people didn't know what to do, if they were going to work or not work, or work from home, and how that all was happening. A lot of businesses took that time to invest into their SEO strategy and be able to dive into that and improve their rankings at a time when marketing in other places wasn't exactly going to be seen as kosher.
Yeah.
KFC ad on finger licking good chicken when you're not allowed to touch people. You're not the right place.
KFC. I haven't had KFC in a long time.
I actually ran an ad right at the beginning of April.
Yeah.
And it was sitting in public eating chicken. We'll throw an image on the video here. You got to do that.
Yeah, I gotta find that.
Yeah, people sitting in a public place eating chicken and then licking their fingers afterwards.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, right at the beginning of April.
I filled up the car the other day and completely forgot about hand sanitizing, and then ate an apple right after. My fucks to give are getting pretty close to zero. But Obviously, you respect other people's decisions, like that. So.
Always.